What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another reaction video, and here we got for you guys today, man. We got Jordan Fringe. iCarly 2021 is going in an interesting direction. Episodes 4 and 5. Well, we are back, man. We continuing the series of the iCarly, its start origin to the reboot. Hey, he has some interesting points, man. This was one of the most successful reboots of the Kids Television Network, and it's been doing pretty well, man. I do know that it got canceled, I think, at season 3. So, and it ended off in a cliffhanger too. So that kind of sucks, cause in the original series, that wasn't really a cliffhanger. We all know that was just a continuation to a new spinoff. But hey, I'm glad that they did this revival, I should say. But yeah, I never thought this show would get picked back up, but here we are now, man, and I'm enjoying it. I got through all of season 1, so I got to get to season 2 quickly as possible. But hey, man, let's get into this video, man. Let's go.
It's been a rough week. I need to have you pour.
Another iCarly video? You betcha. Over the next several weeks, every other Friday, I will be discussing my thoughts on the series thus far by covering the past 2 episodes. Since the show premieres 1 new episode a week, I felt that this would be the best way to cover the show as it premieres without putting up an iCarly video every single week. This way, I feel like I can add more substance while discussing them, and I can work on other content for my regular Tuesday, Friday release schedule. If you want to hear my thoughts on episodes 1 through 3, check out my previous iCarly revival video from the other week, and come back when the show is all out for a large discussion on the show as a whole. I quickly just want to say thank you so much for all the support on these videos and for the channel in general. I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Make sure to drop a like on the video if you're enjoying the coverage and discussion around the new iCarly series, and without further ado, let's start off with episode 4, I Got Your Back. Right off the bat, Mr. Mosby is back to direct. We love that. But this episode focuses
Oh, really? Oh, that's fire. Because I never knew like his actual name, but that's fire.
On the personal relationships between both Carly and Harper, as well as Freddie and Spencer. Freddie is not keen on the idea of jumping back into the dating world, but is willing to give it a shot once Spencer mentions that he has a single friend who is a nuclear physicist. Shortly after, Spencer finds out that she's not interested in Freddie, and Spencer doesn't want to let Freddie down after he finally perked back up about putting himself out there and putting the ready back in Freddie. Spencer then gets an errand running service and an escort service mixed up and hires what he thought was an actor to pretend to be this girl to go on a date with Freddie, albeit at a continuously expensive rate, but rather well, someone helping those looking for some company. Which is a pretty funny circumstance mix-up to be in. It definitely is more adult and is the biggest push away from the original show thus far. On Carly's side of things, we learn how Carly and Harper first met and how their friendship came to be. It's a small little backstory, but one that was needed for context, as in the original iCarly, we see a flashback to how Carly and Sam first met. Here, it's a few tossed out lines, but it helps world build a bit more for us, the audience, to attach ourselves to. Carly gets an invite to the Seattle Fashion Fest that is also sent to Bo, her ex from the first episode, and after some convincing to go show up Bo at the event, she asks Harper to be her stylist and help her have the perfect outfit. Harper and Carly go through a plethora of outfit choices as their opinions on what they think is right for this event begin to clash. Carly feels very attached to her old dress, yes, the original show's final episode for the father-daughter dance dress, and this spirals into a larger argument and a full-on fight between the two, ending in Carly flipping a table and the pair storming off from one another. Now they ultimately come back together once Carly takes the special dress that Harper made for her to the event, which is used from her old dress. But when Harper comes back to the apartment and notices that both Carly and the dress are gone and at the event, she realizes that Carly
I do want to say something real quick though. One thing that I was not expecting when they brought the show back, I was not expecting Freddie to have a stepdaughter. That was like one of the things that like blew my mind when I first heard this show was coming back. Freddie having a stepdaughter is so out of my realm of thinking. It's not even funny. The fact that he has a stepdaughter is hilarious, but it's like, really, out of all people, Freddie to have a stepdaughter, it's just, I never thought I'd ever see that, let alone seeing the show come back. That's crazy.
No, it wasn't fully fitted yet, with temporary stitches still on there. And we see them awkwardly walk down the photo shoot red carpet, holding up and covering spots on the dress that are falling apart and ripping with each little movement. All the while, the pair sort out their differences and even find their fight iconic. Checking back in with Spencer and Freddy's situation, the dates seem to be going well in Freddy's mind, which causes Spencer to pay more and more to keep Freddy happy, as he can't bring himself to let Freddy down, especially once he finds out that he has the services mixed up and he wasn't paying for what he thought he was paying for. And right before he finally lays out what's been going on to Freddy, Freddy reveals that he's not seeing her anymore, as he felt no real spark between the two, and for some reason she kept weirdly leaving on the hour every time for nuclear physicist emergencies. And that's honestly how this situation is resolved. No truth being told, no lesson to be learned. The biggest thing is that Freddy still has the confidence to put himself out there, which is nice to see for his character arc.
Hey, I will say though, there were some episodes in iCarly that it didn't really pertain to the story. It was just so random, like the episode with Bigfoot where they went out to go camping and everything like that. Like that was technically it wasn't really it was more like a filler episode. It didn't really pertain to the story as as we all thought it would be. But yeah.
But I can't help but feel that this wrapped up a little too fast and partially off screen, especially since we just saw the dates going so well, to then somehow Freddy saying that there was no spark in general. Now, this episode was funny. The whole confusion of an errand running service and an escort service felt like a better way to continue shifting into the more adult territory the show has been tiptoeing in. Learning more about the characters, who they are in present day, and their interpersonal relationships being on full display is what the show needs to do to keep the returning viewers interested, but also hold open the door for those just jumping aboard. The other more adult jokes relating to the situations going on genuinely feel right in the moments presented, and I personally feel that the show isn't pushing into a more cringy territory with it. With that being said, and I think the thing holding it back the most so far is the laugh track. While yes, the original show had one, and the majority of multi-camera sitcoms have them, it just feels more noticeable here and a bit off-putting with the amount of it being used. It feels like it pads on more running time, taking away from what could be filled with more jokes, more plot, well, more anything. I'm not the biggest fan of laugh tracks in general. The older I get, the less I have enjoyed newer sitcoms using them. Obviously, the shows I grew up with, for the most part, use them, and I can go back and watch them just fine with it. I just see it as a dying gimmick more than a comedic necessity. Could iCarly work without a laugh track? Sure. As long as it has genuine, well-written characters and jokes to portray it, then of course it could. I do think iCarly could have pulled that off here, but it's not something likely to be changed about the show. So while it's not the worst thing in the world, it's still completely bearable. I have just been noticing the repetitive laughter more and more with each passing episode. And I fully realize that this can completely be a me thing and not a everybody thing. Another thing is the dating stuff. We have seen this to be a factor in every episode basically, and while it's funny to see the interesting people specifically Carly meets up with, it somewhat plays off a little repetitive as well, since it's happening so frequently it seems. But this is something we'll discuss further on as the show concludes. Some moments in the show come off as if the show has a pretty small budget, which there's nothing wrong with that, it's just about how you use it to your advantage. Here it just begins to take away from the moment, and you realize that this is all on a soundstage when certain sets really look like sets, rather than believing they're at these locations, and obvious green screen and backgrounds that seem as if it would have been just as easy to shoot on location or at least build a set around. Now, the last thing I want to do is come off nitpicky with all of this, but this episode specifically showed us all of these things at play, making them stand out more than in the previous episode. So please don't take that as a it's bad because of this. Honestly, it's far from that. These are merely things that can easily be improved upon as the show continues. Oh, but for a show called iCarly, there sure is barely any iCarly in it. In fact, this episode alone has no web show moments at all. iCarly back in the day definitely had its fair share of episodes that featured little to nothing to do with the web show in general, but it always felt like it played a part in some aspect of what they were all doing. I'm all for the show branching away when needed to from the web show, but here was just a bit jarring not to see anything relating to it.
Yeah, that is true. When they run the show back, I was wondering how they was gonna incorporate the web show again, because when they last ended off in the original series, that was kind of done for Carly at the time. Whenever she had to go away with her father, I forgot what the place she was going to, to stay at. Oh yeah, wasn't it Yakima, something like that? Yakima, That's what that place was called. But yeah, when she left her not her dad, her grandfather. Oh my god, her grandfather. It was something like that. Her grandfather. When she left, right? That like little iCarly like web show thing was kind of done and over with. So when they came back with it, I was like, really? She was gonna actually like return with the web show and everything like that. But then as the episodes went along, you start to see less and less of it, and it just became more of just like a classic um TV show's sitcom than based on what the show was actually represented around was Carly having the web cell. And because remember, Sam is not even in the show anymore at this point, so it's really just Carly doing it by herself. And then if you take away that element of her like having a web show, that doesn't really make it iCarly anymore. It just makes it like a whole new sitcom that just came out of nowhere. But that's just me.
At all. Well, alright, those were my thoughts on episode 4 of the iCarly revival. Let me know down below your thoughts on that, and let's continue on.
Continue.
Now, the following week, literally yesterday from when this video drops, Paramount Plus released episode 5, I, Robot Wedding.
Ew, boogers!
Here it is, the infamous return of Neville Papperman.
Yep.
This episode has had fans waiting to find out why he looked half robot in the trailer, and what would his dastardly return consist of. At the start of the episode, we learn that the whole crew has gotten invited to Neville's wedding, and Freddy's the best man. But Carly only has one goal, and it's to pretend she's having a great time, and be supportive of him as she suspects something may be off. And wants to outplay Neville at his own game. Similar to the last episode on how she felt with only going to Seattle Fashion Fest to upstage Bo, I guess we're going to start seeing a lot more of Carly's competitive nature here, where she constantly has this need to one-up someone who's her antagonist in life, or at least at that moment. Also here at the start of the episode, we listen in on a conversation between Freddy and Millicent regarding weddings and how he actually met his ex, Millicent's mother.
Here we go.
Millicent doesn't want Freddy to get all love-struck and spends the whole episode making sure she puts distance between Freddy and any other woman he comes in contact with at these events. And we'll check back in with the storyline here towards the end. Neville's wedding is robot themed, hence the title. It truly is a treat seeing him play this role once more. The same level of sass and attitude is all there, and Neville truly steals the scenes that he's in. Neville still picks on Carly to try and make her feel jealous, and she pretends to just be extremely happy for him. And once meeting his fiancée, Prunella, she starts having a change of heart about her attitude towards everything. Prunella is this ultra preppy, super nice individual, but based on a few keywords she says, and Neville mentioned that he had to marry a human woman to receive his inheritance, as well as the whole theme of the wedding being robots, Carly quickly starts heading into the conspiracy theory territory, where she thinks that Prunella is a robot. Her sole purpose for the rest of the wedding event is to pry and pull information from Prunella and find a way to prove to everyone that she is in fact a robot. She finally thinks she has this all figured out when a magnet sticks to her head and a battery pack falls out of her dress. Well, the magnet sticking to her head is from the metal plate she has in there from an accident that took out all of her other family members, a story that at one point sounded too fake to believe and was presented that way without context. The battery pack, well, that's for something else that we'll speak on here in 1 second. First, while Prunella is distracted fixing herself up after dropping the battery pack, Neville comes into the room and confesses his love for Carly is still there, and to forget Prunella in general. Carly leaves the room after being thoroughly creeped out, and before she can explain herself to everyone in attendance, Neville exclaims that Carly and him are getting married, and he set a trap within the mechanical belt part of her dress to turn it into a proper wedding gown. Prunella comes back out objecting to this whole wedding idea, but Neville explains that this was all a setup from the start. The guests in attendance are actors, Prunella was just a friend of his, and not really a robot at all in this attempt to entrap Carly into marriage. And how would that, she just says no. Neville, this has to be the worst plan yet. But it does turn around for the best. Prunella, who objected just moments ago, shows the battery pack was for an LED belt she was wearing, saying that she actually does love Neville, and it's not for the act. Neville, never before feeling true love from anyone, is overwhelmed that someone actually cares about him. Neville returns the sentiments and they go and get married. So let me get this straight. He literally in one scene earlier says forget Prunella and clearly is still mad about Carly as she's never given him what he wants. But when Prunella actually does want to marry Neville, he just loses all feelings towards Carly and now has strong feelings towards Prunella that he didn't have moments before. I don't know, it just seems a little out there. I know he has to marry to get his inheritance, but is this really for love? Will he just get a divorce and harass Carly some more? Either way, just kind of solves the problems for everyone abruptly. Alright, back to Freddie and Millicent's storyline. After many attempts from her to stop any interactions between Freddie and other women, they have a sit-down talk at the wedding and we see a more vulnerable moment between the two. Millicent's actually worried that she needs to protect him from broken hearts and she doesn't want to see her father sad. And Freddie lets her know that that's all a part of life and that it's his job to protect her and for her not to feel sad. This is a really nice character moment that both character builds their relationship. And it also furthers Freddie and Carly's relationship. Millicent gives the go-ahead for Freddie to dance with Carly, and Freddie asks for Carly's hand to dance, sparking a
The fact that you need a go-ahead from your stepdaughter to dance with a friend that you knew longer than she's been alive is crazy to me. I'm sorry. Like, we go way back, and you're telling me that it's okay to dance with Carly. Alright.
pretty deep conversation about what being happy means, that you don't need to be with someone to feel happy. It's a nice message to see, as sometimes it's hard to feel self-content when everyone around you may be getting into relationships and getting married or having kids at this moment in your life. And maybe that's just not the life for you right now. Throughout the episode, as this mini side plot, we have Spencer and Harper playing a game of who can get the most numbers from the wedding. The one with less numbers has to attend some other event of the winner's choosing. It's nothing too serious or had too much time spent on, but it was fun to see these two characters spend more time together, since in the first episode, it really made it feel like there was this bit of separation between even calling them friends. All the while we find out who Daft Punk really is, and yes, he was up all night at these events to get lucky. I am so sorry that sentence came out of my mouth. So the big takeaways from this episode being that there is, again, like last week's episode, no iCarly web show. I won't reiterate my points, but you understand my thoughts towards that. Neville has a fun return, but with a weak plan that doesn't feel rich with evilness or some thought put into it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, what's the point here? There are plenty of fun moments in this episode. I also think it has better qualities to it even than last week's episode, but something here just felt rushed, I guess. The fact that it just ends after Harper winning the bet and Spencer zoning out and no real resolution with Neville, like seriously. He just goes and gets married after saying and doing all that he just did, and that's it for him. He doesn't have another line after that. No apology to Carly, no thanks for helping me realize the error of my ways, no stinger at the end telling the audience that the rude days are upon us. I just wanted a bit more for the Neville return than what we got. Again, that's on me. That's just how I feel about it. And also, as a bonus, Freddie gave off some very John Mulaney-esque line reads that I can't stop thinking about. Either way, I'm not saying that episode 4 and 5 are bad. In fact, I quite enjoyed them. I still had the same amount of fun I've had with the series thus far. I'm just noticing a lot more cracks in the holes on certain things, like with episode 4, and maybe a lack of interesting writing within episode 5. But please don't take it as me bashing these episodes again. Quite liked them. I've already watched each of them twice now.
Overall, yeah, I'm happy.
Well, yeah, that was the past 2 weeks of the new iCarly revival series. I would love to know your thoughts on the show thus far. How are you enjoying it as the show goes on each week, and do you think that it's genuinely getting more comfortable within its own identity week after week? Let me know in the comments. Once again, I truly do appreciate the support for the content and the channel itself. I can't thank you enough for just watching and hopefully enjoying the discourse regarding these shows and movies we have here. Make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed today's video, and I'll be back every other week with a new iCarly video discussing the previous 2 weeks of new episodes, as well as when season 1 is all over, a larger discussion of the show in general, if that's something you're interested in. Subscribe to be a part of my journey through movies and television and how these films and shows have affected my life in the past and present. I'll be back soon with another video, but until then, later.
Hey, guys. That was a good video, man. Hey. Like I said, I gotta start on season 2, because it's been a while since I've seen season 1. But yeah, like I said, this revival is doing pretty good so far compared to, you know, the other revival kid shows that's been happening. iCarly has been the most successful one. you know, until it got canceled, you know. And then left on a cliffhanger is crazy. But guys, if you enjoyed this reaction, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Go to my Patreon. Follow all of my social media links in the description down below. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and I hope you guys are here to stay. But with that being said, you guys should already know this by now. But I'm out of here, guys.